summer of 1456, 3 years after his mighty conquest of Constantinople, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II now turns his gaze towards the Hungarian fortress town of Belgrade. With the full might of his grand army, he prepares for another legendary siege. This battle is more than just another conquest. It is a decisive moment that could open the doors of Central Europe to the Ottomans. But standing in his way is an old enemy, the ever-resilient John Hunyadi. Welcome to Season 2 of our grand series on the history of the Ottoman Empire. If you missed Season 1, we covered the rise of the Ottomans and their greatest triumph, the fall of Constantinople. Now we venture into the golden age of the House of Osman. With the conquest of Constantinople in 1453, Mehmed II cemented his place in history. The great city, once the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire, was now the new capital of an Islamic empire. But before Mehmed could expand his dominion further, he needed to consolidate his rule. The last Byzantine holdouts in Silivri and Epibodus surrendered, marking the final end of Roman rule in Thrace. Across the Aegean, the islands of Imbros, Samothrace, Lemnos, Tenedos, and Thassos fell to the Ottoman fleet. The powerful Genoese family of Gattilusio, who ruled these islands, had no choice but to become Ottoman vassals. Meanwhile, inside Constantinople, Mehmed embarked on an ambitious project, transforming the once ruined city into a grand Ottoman capital. The Hagia Sophia was converted into a mosque, while new structures such as the Fatih Mosque and the Eyüp Sultan Mosque were erected. To repopulate the city, Mehmed resettled Christian and Jewish families from across Anatolia and the Balkans. The Grand Bazaar was built, laying the foundation for Constantinople's future economic power. But even as Mehmed solidified his rule, his eyes remained fixed on one crucial goal: the complete subjugation of Serbia. War with Serbia, 1454 to 1456. By 1454, the Serbian despotate, ruled by Durad Branković, stood as one of the last Christian strongholds in the Balkans. Although officially neutral during the conquest of Constantinople, Serbia's close ties with Hungary made it a potential threat. Determined to eliminate this obstacle, Mehmed II sent an ultimatum: surrender the key fortresses of Golubac and Smederevo or face destruction. When no response came, the Sultan declared war. That summer, a 50,000-strong Ottoman army stormed into Serbia, devastating the countryside. The fortress town of Ostrovica fell after brutal cannon bombardment, but Smederevo held strong. The Serbian despot fled to Hungary, while John Hunyadi prepared his counterattack. By the end of the campaign, Serbia lay in ruins, but Ottoman gains remained fragile. Mehmed's forces withdrew, leaving a weakened but still defiant Serbian resistance. And now the stage was set for one of the greatest battles of the century, the Siege of Belgrade. The Siege of Belgrade, July 1456. Belgrade was no ordinary fortress. Positioned at the confluence of the Danube and Sava rivers, it was considered the most formidable stronghold in Hungary. Mehmed's father, Murad II, had failed to conquer Belgrade in 1440, but the young Sultan was determined to succeed where his father had failed. By early June, a massive Ottoman force of 50,000 troops, 300 ships, and hundreds of cannons arrived at the city walls. Inside Belgrade, Michael Silagai commanded a desperate defense with only 5,000 men. Reinforcements led by John Hunyadi were still days away. For over 10 days, Ottoman cannons rained fire upon the fortress, shaking its walls to the core. Mehmed's engineers worked tirelessly, filling the defensive moats and preparing for an all-out assault. With the defenders on the brink of exhaustion, the Ottomans launched their first major attack on July 14th. But suddenly, a miracle happened. John Hunyadi had arrived. Leading a fleet of warships, he smashed through the Ottoman blockade, sinking dozens of enemy vessels and delivering crucial reinforcements. The tide of battle had shifted. The final battle, July 21st to 22nd, 1456, Enraged by the Hungarian counterattack, Mehmed II ordered one final assault on July 21st. For hours, elite janissaries stormed the southern walls, breaching the defenses and flooding into the city. But Hunyadi was ready. In a desperate counterattack, the Hungarian general led his forces from the inner citadel, pushing the Ottomans back in a bloody melee. The Beyler Bey of Rumelia, Daya Karaka Pasha, was slain, causing chaos in the Ottoman ranks. Then disaster struck for Mehmed. A fire broke out in his camp, destroying his heavy artillery. Determined to turn the battle in his favor, Mehmed personally charged into battle. But in the heat of combat, an arrow struck his thigh. Wounded and exhausted, the Sultan had no choice. The siege had failed. On July 22nd, the great Ottoman army began its retreat, abandoning its camp to the victorious Hungarians. Belgrade had survived, aftermath and the death of John Hunyadi. The Battle of Belgrade was Mehmed II's first major defeat. Over 23,000 Ottoman troops were lost in the 3-week-long siege. But fate had one final twist. In August 1456, as Hungarians celebrated their victory, plague struck Hunyadi's army. Within weeks, the great general succumbed to illness, dying at the height of his glory. Meanwhile, Serbia's fate was sealed. In 1459, Smederevo surrendered, and the medieval Serbian state ceased to exist. With Serbia now under Ottoman control, Mehmed's ambitions turned westward, to Morea, Albania, and beyond. But that is a story for another time. Conclusion. The Siege of Belgrade was a defining moment in Ottoman history. Though Mehmed failed to capture the city, the empire's expansion was far from over. In the next episode, we continue our journey through the golden age of the Ottoman Empire. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more epic history content.